Frostfang Kleptomancy, and then he just goes ahead and he just gets all this money. It's because supports actually have a lot of kind of dictating in the lane that they have to do, and they're against a ranged champion, half range champion a lot of the times too in that lane.
All right, we're into champion selected. We'll see if top lane continues to be creative between these two teams or if they take it a little more standard this time around. Only time will tell, as the bans are going to be Zoe, Camille, and Aatrox for the side of Clutch Gaming. Banned out by Cloud9 are Cassiopeia and Akali.
Means Urgot, Lucian are on the table still. Expect one of those two to be banned away here from Cloud9. The Lucian, which means that Urgot is still up, Sylas is still up. And another thing to consider here too is Clutch Gaming, they had side selection coming into today, and they selected blue side, which means they either want a big first pick or they want to go ahead and wait for this part later where they can grab a good duo for themselves. Because normally you would expect people to pick red if they have something up their sleeve, like one of those kind of semi-funnels.
Right, and it looks like they're going to go ahead on the side of Clutch and go for the Alistar first and foremost. They want a powerful engage tool, they want a big frontliner, they want that champion, which honestly throughout the history of League of Legends has had moments of just absolute brilliance when he's great in the meta.
Yeah, he has those big kind of play support for that reason. The 5-man ultimate, or the 5-man Q, the knockup, and then the ultimate to survive and get out. Like, this is the dream come true here, but the Ezreal is going to go over, and that becomes very lopsided here because there isn't really that champion that'll match it. Potentially the Kai'Sa, maybe the Draven if Piglet wants to play it.
Cloud9 hovering the Sylas here, at least, if nothing else, demonstrating that they're thinking about it, but instead, we'll go back, lock in the Nocturne there for Svenskeren. Sylas is one of those champions I feel like he is, just based on the fact that your abilities change based on what you're up against.
Never first pick him.
He's so incredibly conditional that you just want to play him into something that you know you're going to get some good ults from. Yes, Alistar ult is good, but what happens if, let's just say they have this random team comp of Alistar, Nidalee, Jace, and Karma, and then you feel really, really bad. So we'll see if that ends up coming up a little bit later on, but with the Ezreal locked in, that is a power pick in the bottom lane. We've seen Nisqy have some good performances on it, and it looks like the response from Clutch is going to be Sivir.
Yeah, and they had picked up the Ezreal yesterday. Nisqy had so much damage on it, survived, got player of the game on it, and here finally the Urgot comes out as a pick. He made it far. He made it really far. The Nocturne was prioritized higher than him. He is flexible here, which means that Clutch Gaming is going to have to find some magic damage from the jungle or from top / maybe the mid wherever Urgot doesn't go, and their composition is going to need some rounding out here.
Let's see how Cloud9 want to respond to this. That is 3 pretty powerful ultimates. If they're still thinking about that Sylas, I don't know if they would. The Sion. Remember that one of the games Cloud9 lost was going up against a Sion. So this time they're going to have that one locked in for themselves. Like, you're going to see Licorice playing that one, which means Sylas probably will not be chosen this game. Although remember that he can be played in a variety of positions, so not completely locked out of the realm of possibility. Cloud9, seeing that Clutch Gaming was hovering the Zilean at a couple of different points, they decided to ban that one away. I'm personally very happy about that because team fights are much more difficult to follow when 17 people are reviving.
Yeah, Zilean, sometimes he gets his ultimate back in the middle of a fight too because it's such a short cooldown later in the game that it can also trip people up. But with that removed, it removes one of the top laners. There's still Lulu, there's still things like the Kennen and the Karma that can be played up there. It's just the Zilean is the one that a lot of people are going towards because of the utility that he brings later on.
Clutch will ban out the Braum for themselves. They don't want to have a slippery AD carry opponent like Ezreal supported by something that makes him that much harder to catch with very powerful peel like the Braum. Understand that one being taken away. Cloud9 also removing Syndra. They don't want Damonte on that champion that he has plenty of experience on himself.
Yeah, and Damonte has been having a really great split. Even though that Clutch Gaming has lost their last 3 games in a row, he has had rather consistent performances across their wins and their losses where he's talking about it where, hey, it's finally Tanner time in 2019. Well, he's really putting his money where his mouth is, and if he can start carrying this team that has Huni and Lira as well as Piglet on it, then he's really making a name for himself here, and a lot of people have been impressed by his mid lane play.
Ornn will be the final ban this game for Clutch Gaming, making sure the Cloud9 aren't able to pick that one up in the support role either. Really focusing on Zeyzal, and it looks like Cloud9 goes for the Shen.
Yep, this is the Cloud9 special. The Shen plus the Nocturne, the delivery will come through here, where he's able to just get delivered to the backline, and with a low mobility Sivir, who will have to run around and dodge kind of manually, you're really worried about that. And if they're picking a mage here in the mid lane, a lot of those mages aren't incredibly mobile. You'll have to pick Lissandra, who has one of those kind of dashes, but LeBlanc is kind of the other one that jumps up too.
Lissandra, one of those champions with the get-out-of-jail-free card built into the ulti as well, can buy herself some time if the Nocturne and the Shen are going after her. Lee Sin also locked in here for Clutch Gaming. Lira will be piloting that this time around. Cloud9, one pick left to make this game. Thinking about Galio. I mean, if you already have a delivery system, why not get more bang for your buck? This is frightening. Nocturne jumps in on you, delivers Shen right next to him. Galio comes flying down on top, and just in case that didn't bop you hard enough, Sion just will come charging in 2 seconds later. Meanwhile, Ezreal just doesn't care about this. He's shooting you with Qs from 1100 range away. Yep,
and this composition is actually quite scary, but it takes him a while to turn on, and Lira on this Lee Sin, looking at him as well as Damonte on this Lissandra to make something happen by owning the mid lane in terms of priority, and then roaming to the bottom or roaming to the top lane early to try and get this game in Clutch Gaming's favor. Because if this goes long, you have this infinite scaling on the Sion, and then you have this tanky durability as well as kind of ways to save people left and right with the Galio to kind of interrupt people, as well as the Shen. So we're watching that, seeing if Damonte and Lira can make this early game happen, because it's a very scary composition for Cloud9, who's looking to just climb up the standings.
Yeah, Cloud9's composition very, very synergistic. At the same time, though, Clutch has some of those picks that we've been seeing so much of lately with the Urgot, with the Lissandra, champions that have proven themselves as top meta picks. So we'll see if that can stand up to what Cloud9 has drafted this time around. We know that even if you have a tanky lineup with things like a Sion and a Galio and a Shen and stuff that can be tricky to actually burn that health bar down, it helps to not have to worry about the last 25% because you got the blender ready to go.
Exactly. You don't have to actually finish him off, and if he has a Warmogs, doesn't matter. You just bring him in, and then you're done with that fight. But right now, these teams neck and neck in the standings. Clutch win this, they tie Cloud9, but if Cloud9 win this, they start that trek towards the top to catch Liquid.
Ultimately, hopefully culminating in a rematch with Liquid. We'll see if that ever happens, but right now, Cloud9 has to take down Clutch Gaming, and Clutch would very much like to make that not the reality here. We'll see who comes out on top. We're on to Summoner's Rift for the second time today. Everybody starting off pretty usual, pretty standard here. Line of scrimmages being drawn across the river. Where do we think we're going to see the junglers start this time around?
Judging by where I would expect them to start, I feel like this would be a bottom side start for both of them, because they have good kind of people to assist in that. I don't think anybody really wants too much of lane priority on the bot side. Potentially Clutch might go for something if they want to have Lira on the top side early, but I feel like red buff helps you out so much if you meet the other jungler. So I would expect bottom side starts here for both of them, but it will be altered based off whatever path they go for. Nocturne actually, Svenskeren could start top. Actually, I'd say Lira, if I'm going to like put money on it, Lira bottom and then Svenskeren top side. That's
okay,
what
so
I would expect.
both red buff starts and then just moving.
Opposite sides.
Okay, all right. We'll see if that plays out that way. First Drake is going to be Infernal this time around here as well. So always like to keep track of those and see when teams are going to decide to go after them, especially when you have a team that has plenty of damage potential, like what Clutch Gaming has drafted for themselves. Everybody's going to be building some wall up there.
Yeah.
Infernals could go a long way.
And people are bringing out new stuff, kind of old new stuff, again, because it's...
Old new stuff?
Yeah, well, I guess new old stuff, right? New old stuff. We'll go with that order. Because it's the Shen, first time he's being played so far this split. And then last game we had the Swain, which was the first time he was being played. So people are kind of going back to comfort in this...
The throwbacks.
In this kind of first third of the split being over, where they're like, all right, we need to pick up some wins. We need to go back to these things that were working for us before, even if other people aren't playing them.
And that's what I really like to see. That was what, honestly, Worlds 2018 was all about to me. And especially with it being such a different tournament and sort of the fall of Korea as the #1 region and everybody else sort of stepping up. And the question was, oh, is the gap closing, bro? No, everybody just finally started playing their own stuff. And that's what I really like to see from any team. Play to your own style.
As a Skarner one-trick.
As a Skarner one-trick who wants to build a warrior in a Trinity Force, let me do my damn thing.
Let him do his game, right? Let you play League of Legends the way you want. But right here, engage on the bottom side. Here's Lira.
It's C9 going in, but Lira shows up in time to keep his support alive, and they're going to turn things right back around on to Zeyzal. A first blood over to Clutch Game.
And you would never expect that as Cloud9, because they know Lira started on the bottom side. They saw him not go for a Scuttle Crab. They had a ward in the Pixel Brush. They had a ward right there at the top of the screen. They knew if that bottom Scuttle was going to get done, and he goes straight from his red to his Krugs, and then he goes bottom lane off of this level 2 advantage that Cloud9 had. It wasn't a level 2 for Vulcan just yet.
Creative pathing from Lira creates opportunity for Clutch Gaming. And Zeyzal, he burns the Ignite in that too. So that's a Summoner spell down also here. Let's take another look at how it played out, because it looked really good for Cloud9.
And you can see he's feeding off this too, because he knows that they hit the level 2 first. He's already walking over there. That was great from Vulcan to get that flash double pulverize in there. And then it's the first blood for Lira. They make them back up, and then he gets the bottom side scuttle. But the thing is he will actually lose his top side blue buff for that. Yeah. He's not able to counter on the bottom side because Zeyzal went to that one. So when you make a play like that, you can lose the opposite side jungle very easily.
It is good from Svenskeren recognizing, hey, I've got to get back whatever I can, but you're obviously still going to rack it up as a win for Clutch Gaming. Grabbing the first blood plus assist money there in the bottom lane. Getting the money onto the Lee Sin feels pretty good as well, because that's going to be one of your champions. You really want to be active early on in the game. Influence every lane you can. And my test that I always judge Lee Sin by whenever I see him locked in any game is, does he hit level 7 with a scoreline of 0-0 and 0? If so, why'd you play Lee Sin?
Ooh.
And so far, he has not done that. But topside, it's Licorice looking for the solo kill on the Huni. One more hit will do it! Brings down the hammer and takes him out. Solo kill for Licorice.
And Licorice just solo kills Huni in the top lane. This has not been a good split for Huni at all. And Licorice hasn't missed a beat since Worlds.
And this is Urgot. This is a champion that you look at and are like, wow, this guy's really strong in lane. He wins 1v1s. He shoots you with his machine gun over and over again. What do you do back to it? Well, Licorice, just kill him.
Yeah. And I have to see this again because it's the E through. Even though he gets the slow, Huni walks forward. Licorice says, okay, I guess I can just charge Q here. You can't go to the side. And he interrupts the disdain.
Interrupted it. That's why Huni couldn't get out. And then Licorice knows he can just chase it down. A roar into a smack. And he sends Huni back. Easy money for the side of Cloud9 as they're still down a couple hundred gold here. They're feeling a lot better after that. Notice also the Bramble Vest pickup on the side of Sion. This item was nerfed a while back to be rather cost inefficient, so it feels bad to just buy and sit on in most situations. But most does not include a situation where an opponent is rapidly attacking you over and over, and you can honestly make Urgot take more damage than you do when he uses Perch.
Yeah, there was this clip that came out where it was a Rammus with the Thornmail, a Rammus with a Bramble Vest up against an Urgot. It doesn't work the same way with just the Bramble Vest, because the Bramble Vest is coded to do, I believe, a third of its damage per attack to the Urgot, because he actually attacks 3 times per second when he uses it. So it's like every second he'll take the full damage of it instead of just him kind of owning himself. But the Rammus W is not coded like that.
The Rammus W is a meme.
Yeah.
That was actually hilarious. For any of y'all who missed the clip, I would highly suggest going back and watching it sometime. But we're going to see Lira move into the top side of the jungle here, clear out this Scuttle Crab for himself. Currently behind in farm compared to the Nocturne, but honestly, that's what you would expect. Nocturne wants to power farm. We talked about this last game. Hit that level 6, start using those ultis. You're not really a complete champion until you've got that ultimate available.
Yeah, and also the fact he lost his blue buff on the top side, it gave Svenskeren a whole nother camp to farm, and then it put him through his whole route, which ended up doing a good job of kind of catching him up in gold, because they have even items right now, and it's only about a 200 gold difference between the two, with Lira having that extra 200. Despite it being first blood, which should be about 400. So he's about 200 in terms of farm and difference.
And we're starting to see solo laners hit level 6 now. A lot of big game-changing ultis on both sides. So as that starts to become reality, I'm going to be watching to see who's making the plays. Remember, Cloud9's composition, we talked about as soon as we saw it locked in. Look at the synergy here, how every single ulti seems to work together to just deliver this pain train into the back lines of whoever they want to target. And that's what I'll be watching for as they decide they want to take these fights. Topside, Licorice is just going to continue maintaining control over the lane, shoving things up towards Huni. Huni shouldn't be that blocked off from the farm, though. Playing Urgot, you've got some range. You can farm up rather easily.
He's on the back foot. Huni doesn't really get to dictate how this lane is going to go as the ranged champion. And the Sion gets to last hit freely, start getting bonus HP from his Soul Furnace, and he feels really great about that, as Urgot's going to struggle to find relevance in this game early.
And you already brought up, if the game goes late, you have the one remaining S-tier tank in the game in Sion, with the infinite scaling, with the ability to just be that massive meatball that hits 12k HP with a Gargoyle Stone Plate. Urgot's not going to do the same thing.
No, Urgot's going to finish some people off and maybe get a fear on the back end of it, but a lot of his power comes from the fact that he can chase people down. He's durable himself and is like a semi-tank bruiser.
All right, Cloud9 have decided to start up the Infernal. The pit is not swept. Clutch Gaming are aware of what's going on here, but again, the Cloud9 Wombo combo could come out. if Clutch decides to go in after this. Looks like they don't want to give it away for free. Damonte ready to go over the wall. Nisqy waiting nearby for a taunt in case somebody walks past him. Damonte didn't see him with that Scryer's Bloom.
That's taunt down though. There's
Lira down onto the Drake.
Reset.
Gonna reset slightly. Lira still has the ability to get into the pit. Look to steal it away. Not gonna be able to do it. Flashes over the wall. Instead, the lockdown comes out. Teamfight breaks out. Zeyzal gonna be taken very low, but instead the first kill's gonna go over onto Svenskeren. Lira falls in retaliation. Gonna be 1-for-1 so far. Cloud9 looking to get themselves away as Licorice makes his way into the fight. Damonte has to flash out over the wall, and Vulcan is stuck in the pit. Hamburger patties for Cloud9.
And Lira kind of goes for broke there with Damonte on the back of that. And that was a fight that almost went the way of Cloud9 and then almost went the way of Clutch Gaming. When we look at it again, there's some few key moments in there where it comes down to just some single presses. And I'm surprised that Clutch Gaming went in that late into the fight where they could have gone in earlier on the first time. We'll see that again right here where Damonte, he knows there's no taunt on Nisqy. So when that's used, this is the time to start going towards it and go back in. But Piglet and Vulcan getting zoned on the side. Lira's gonna flash in, and he doesn't quite get the smite. The smite goes over to Svenskeren. And then right here, Nisqy actually has his ultimate interrupted by Vulcan getting in there. And then it looks like it's gonna be just this gigantic kind of bounce house, and they stay against the wall because Piglet doesn't find a way in. And there it is, Licorice, choo-choo, the train comes down from top lane. Conductor says all aboard, and Cloud9 get that kill.
Damonte says, see ya, bro. Leaves Vulcan in the pit, goes back to farming. There's nothing you can do to save him at that point. Still feels bad to have to leave your buddy behind, but unfortunately, that's the name of the game for Clutch Gaming. Cloud9 feeling good. They've got the kill lead. They've got that first Infernal Drake secured for themselves, so they know that that scaling situation is going to be even scarier once we get towards the later points of the game, but we're only just now about to crest 10 minutes, so still plenty of time to work in this game. Clutch Gaming only down, honestly, they're up a little bit over 100 gold now, so still very possible for them to make a retaliatory play here. They've just really got to be careful about how and where they time.
Yeah, and especially since Nisqy is starting to get some items here. He does have a bounty on his head, but the poke is going to be pretty damn good at this point now that he has the Sheen and he has the pickaxe to boot.
And Clutch Gaming, remember, they've got Piglet on this Sivir, and Piglet was always the guy who pops off on the carry AD carries. The Ashe Jhin meta, I remember, was one of the worst times ever for Piglet because AD carry was more of this supportive role. And seeing him on a champion like Sivir that is that 6-item win condition, that's always got to be in the minds of both these teams.
Yeah, and it looks like he's going for the Storm Razor very early on, too, the first item that you get before 9.3, so...
Right, we still are on 9.2, no AD carry item revamp yet.
No Essence Reaver or anything like that, so he'll just be picking that up and trying to match Sneaky early, because he is just farming. I'm surprised he didn't flash into the pit with his brethren. He still had it available, and didn't walk around completely either, so that team fight looked like it was a little bit uncoordinated from Clutch.
Yeah.
And Piglet's one of the guys where he gets criticized for being too aggressive sometimes, and this is one of those cases where maybe he wasn't aggressive enough, or his team was too aggressive.
Not on the same page one way or the other, it seems, as Svenskeren hovering around bottom side here. He has the ultimate available. Galio ulti not yet up again, but everything else is on the board here for both teams. Damonte just going to continue clearing waves here in the mid lane against Nisqy. Has a slight CS lead over his Cloud9 opponent, as everywhere else on the map is rather even. Bottom side, Sneaky and Zeyzal going to continue pushing up here. Turret plating still alive for another 2.5 minutes or so. You can see one plate has been taken for Clutch Gaming in the top side against the Cloud9 turret. Cloud9 going to respond by taking their first plate from this bottom lane turret of Clutch, and it looks like they'll get 2 here, sticking around long enough to make sure.
Yep, and that's their first 2, so it's 2 plates to 1 plate right now in terms of what's been taken. This is only a 3-plate game. I believe the average coming into this week was about 8 or so in terms of both teams, you know, added together.
Both teams together, right. I was gonna say, if you're taking 8 on average yourself, you're getting a lot of plating. You're drafting some early game.
Yeah, or actually maybe it was 5, and that ends up being 800 gold.
Okay, yeah, that
So
makes sense.
It's probably 5. It was like there's an 8 in there.
Somewhere in this equation, there is number 8.
I believe it was 5, so it would be below average here.
A 5 is just an 8 that had a couple of the lines erased anyway. Yeah. See, blew your mind to that one, didn't I?
No.
Well, Damonte is going to push up mid lane. Anyway.
Just thinking about calculators, and I'm like, yeah, I guess that's true for like every number, right? Add a side, remove a side.
Either way, the Drake is spawning in about 30 seconds now. Mountain, as you said, if turret plating is still around, Mountain Drake feels really good to get early on in the game, where previously, before the existence of platings, it kind of was eh. It's like if Baron doesn't exist, why does this thing exist? I'm not really concerned about it yet, but in this day and age, just might be profitable. We'll see if anybody decides to take it. Taking it on spawn, though, even if you get it immediately, you're only going to have about 30 seconds to work with it.
Going to push real fast for it.
Highly unlikely that that's going to translate into much for the plating, but we'll still see who wants to go after it here. You can see some hovering up the bottom side. Lira staying around here, clearing out the Krugs. Could also get involved if Cloud9 wants to force anything too hard down here, as Vulcan will make sure he mops up that cannon minion there. As you can see, Zeyzal moving around, sweeping out, dropping down some wards, controlling this pit, so Svenskeren can move in and take the Drake.
Zeyzal, I think he's going to place another ward. Does he place it? Yes, he does place one, so he can end up seeing Lira backing. And he places it over the pit. And now they're going to go start that.
Svenskeren's strong enough now. Level 9 on the Nocturne. Doesn't really have an issue soloing this Drake down, so he'll have his team rotate towards him, but he's fine starting it up on his own. On
the top side, though, Damonte is actually going to roam a little bit towards the top, and Licorice is going to appropriately back off just in case. So that's really good, because a lot of the times when you're making a play on the bottom side, top laner doesn't back up, not paying attention to the map.
It's like what we saw last game. It's what we saw last game, especially if you're up against somebody who has playmaking potential. We've seen Lira do it on Lee Sin before. You've got to respect him and know what he's capable of doing. Of course, we know he's just farming the wolves right now, but considering Cloud9 doesn't have that perfect information, you've got to err on the side of caution, as that is going to be 2 elemental drakes over the side of Cloud9. Nice interrupt there on the back, coming out from Licorice.
Zeyzal looked like he went for some extra damage on that turret, trying to finish that one off, because if you actually look at the gold, it's very even, but I also think that there were 2 culls. Huni and as well as Piglet both had some culls that they popped the extra gold from it, so they would be further behind if they hadn't invested in that item, where now it's pretty much even.
Yeah, Cloud9 is ahead in terms of how well they've played the game in the fights and just been controlling objectives and things so far, but Clutch is doing a good job of making sure that it is not this just damning situation where you're just waiting to have your opponent balloon that lead even further. It's still a very close game. It can still pop off in a team fight. Nisqy clearing out the wave there. Nice, easy Justice Punch into the Proto Belt.
Wow, Svenskeren went for a BF sword, and I looked at it and I was like, that is very early. Is he far ahead? No, he just didn't get boots at all. He has no boots versus boots too. This is just like, I don't need to chase people if I just stab them and kill them immediately.
Yeah, if I'm right on top of this guy, I can use my ulti, and if he dies, where else do I need to walk?
I can just chase him down with my Q, right? It's very easy, as well as maybe if his E goes off too. So I guess it's an interesting choice, and it's very aggressive. So he's just saying, I'm going to get in there and get things done, and then I don't have to worry about the follow-up. But it's kind of a risky situation too, especially with something like the Lissandra in the game.
I had a friend back preseason 1 days, Zirene, who played a lot of Karthus, and he would never buy boots. And one day I asked him, hey buddy, why aren't you buying boots? And he said, I'm supposed to die, and I can't walk when I'm dead. Why would I buy boots?
Flawless logic, actually.
I didn't have a rebuttal. I just kind of went with it after that.
I guess he never chased people down with the Eon.
No, it would just it was revive teleport Karthus. So he would just teleport behind them and die. We were both bronze for a reason. Anyway, Cloud9 clearing out their own blue buff, passing it off to their mid laner. We'll see what Nisqy's able to do on this Galio as things continue. Remember, Galio, when we first started this split, was before his nerfs came in, and he was a powerhouse, received quite a few heavy-handed nerfs and a hotfix buff to actually revert one of them since then. And now he's not really at that point where he was for such a long time of being such a huge pick, but it looks like Cloud9 still has plenty of faith in the pick itself, as Nisqy will use the Justice Punch backwards there to make sure he farms things up quickly and efficiently. Yeah. First items coming online for just about everybody right about now. You can see the Cleaver over there for the Urgot, because Sion took a little bit of a detour, picking up the Tabby, picking up the Bramble Vest. He's still working towards that Righteous Glory. Luden's Echo done for Lissandra. Protobet, as I already mentioned, on the Galio. Ezreal has the Iceborne stacking up that Mana Moon. Wants to get towards that tier ASAP so Sneak can get set.
Yeah, surprised. Sometimes you just see the Lissandra go for the Proto Belt. The Luden's Echo is very aggressive in terms of the damage, but he's the only magic damage on the team. And we talked about that in the draft, where the Urgot had been picked, and so had the Sivir. So they either got a magic damage jungler, which they didn't, and they ended up going for even more magic damage from Damonte.
I like how Clutch Gaming, even though they had 4 people, as soon as they saw Cloud9 continue to step up, they backed off because they knew there's no way they're stupid enough to walk up into this. They have to know something's going on, and we're not walking into that, not against this comp.
Yeah, that's one of those things where it looks so bronze that it's actually a challenger move.
Yes.
We're like, this guy is an idiot. He's walking forward. It's like, actually, he's baiting you. So
yeah.
He's making, yeah, exactly.
200 IQ.
He's preying on what your tendency would be if you saw this situation. So I actually love those plays because they're hard to appreciate, and I'm glad you brought that up. But it's a big part of this league and how people kind of play around each other, because you'll see a top laner kind of fake or bluff that his jungler is there, and then the jungler can make a play on the other side, and then you're almost like, how was that such an easy gank to have the jungler lane gank with? It's because they had given false information on the opposite side of the map.
Righteous Glory is also done for both of those top laners. Speaking of them right now, means you're going to have extra initiation tools getting into the mix. Even if Sion accidentally bonks his head on the wall trying to make his entrance with the ulti, he can still catch up to people and start putting down some of that CC. Game's still only 2-3, 18 minutes into this game. Neither side wanting to be the team that pulls the trigger at the wrong time. TP coming in bottom, though. That's Sneaky expending that one.
Alistar can't punch fast enough. Get your hands going.
Smack it. Rip. You hate to see it. You just got to ping it and tell team, okay, there's a ward here, frown.
Yeah, you don't want to place a control ward there either. If you place a control ward to see that one, you place it on the right side of the bush, which makes it easier for people to kill. But I guess you just go, Lira, just don't walk here. There's a ward right there.
Don't stand on that thing. Lira, don't you do it. Okay. All right.
Okay, but they know Nocturne is here. There's the TP. Oh, they'll see the TP because the ward is still there. So they see Piglet.
Coming in. Cloud9, they now...
Oh, is there a fight on the top side? What is going on? Licorice and Huni are...
Yeah, there's some sort of a...
No, I'm going.
They're duking it out up there in the river.
No, I'm getting to the dragon
for priority, yes.
No,
it's
no,
like a...
No, come back here. No, I'm getting to the dragon. I'm going to go.
It's a sack race. They're both hobbling along, just trying to jump down there.
Or they're trying to sabotage each other, like push
each other up. Yeah, push the other guy over. No, me first.
Licorice, he's waiting. He's like, okay, you can go first. And then he's going to get a boost afterwards. There it is.
But here we go. Svenskeren goes in, making sure he delivers. Zeyzal right next to him. True shot barrage coming over the wall, finding multiple people. Galio also going to be landing. Lira taken very low. Piglet already going to be killed off. It's a massive fight for Cloud9. Nisqy the one to take the kill onto the enemy jungler. They're finishing off another one. It's a kill for Huni. Back onto Sneaky. Clutch at least gets themselves something in return. The fight's still gone the way of Cloud9 overall. The remaining Clutch members low and having to retreat. Huni tries to get himself out, but Licorice and Nisqy looking to cut off that escape route.
Oh, he did it again!
Comes down, and they stop him from getting away with the disdain. The damage comes through, and Huni goes home in a body bag. Cloud9 takes the fight, and they take the Drake as the prize.
He's casting the disdain pretty much as soon as it's up, but it's getting interrupted by Licorice having the full charge Q on him. He's just making Huni look like a fool on this Urgot and stopping him every single time.
Good stuff there from C9, brings them up to a respectable 2,500 gold lead now. And if you noticed in that fight too, Svenskeren pops the paranoia and then he waits. He gets the Shen channel on him for a second and then he goes in knowing that delivery system is primed and ready.
And it takes a second. He's just letting it cook. We'll see this one more time as everybody kind of gets into position here. Licorice, he does deja vu, drift off the wall, but right here Svenskeren sits, waits, then it goes to the back line, and that's where they start unleashing everything. There's the Galio ultimate, well on top of it, but that is so many people on the back line so fast, and hey, no time to breathe.
Time for a dive into the top side. It's Huni going to be taken very low. Lira now the focus here instead. Paranoia comes out. Lira barely getting himself away. Huni taken low. Lira killed off by Svenskeren. Huni now going to be tanking up the rest of the team. Clutch Gaming have to try to get themselves the hell out of dodge, but nothing is coming to save them today. Damonte is going to be taunted up and brought down. Decimating Smash finds its way onto Vulcan, and there's another one. 4 for 0, Cloud9. Licorice looking to make it 5. Piglet is not long for this world. The Smash ain't going to find him, but the buckets of chicken are, and that is the ace for nothing. Cloud9's onto the Baron.
And that has double mountain on it. There's going to be no time for a response here. Very clean team fight from Cloud9.
It doesn't get much better than that. 5 for 0 and Baron to top it off. Cloud9's feeling great. Their fans and the audience are feeling great. And Clutch Gaming has got to be sweating that one.
Yeah, this is where Vulcan and Lira go for a play. Look, they're trying to smack Sneaky against the wall. Sneaky hit, stunned up. Lira hits him, kicks him only into the wall, not away from the turret. So now he just gets blasted by that damage. Takes a big turret shot, has to get out, and he just gets picked up by Svenskeren on the back end, and then there's this chase down. Licorice with the smash, and then he just tries to slow everybody else on the back side of it. Even though Piglet is fast, he keeps running, but Piggy's legs can't take him fast enough.
Righteous Glory! Righteous Glory will catch you, one way or the other.
Licorice has just been doing such a fantastic job in this game. The solo kill top lane, the roams to the bottom side, the ulti mid-team fight. Doing the second most damage in this game, and he has a Nocturne and a Galio on his team.
And you can see Piglet put in a lot of work in that last team fight for his squad, but you gotta question how much of that 4,300 really was meaningful because nobody died. It was split onto multiple targets. That's the thing with Sivir. Yes, you can cut multiple people down at once, but until you're that 6-item Sivir to where it just bounces and kills everyone instantly, splitting that, having the damage split onto everybody else isn't always going to be enough to find the kills if nobody else is stepping up. And when you compare those damage meters, Piglet was just so far away from everyone else, there wasn't that extra to bring down the last 25% of the health.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody was able to kind of back him up there because they already had Lira, who gets picked off at the start, and then Damonte is pretty bursty. Huni is also the second person to die, so it's all in retreat where Piglet's trying to throw these boomerangs into the Sion, trying to say, hey, keep away from me. So a lot of that is kind of buffed up by that damage that he's dealing to Licorice.
And honestly, I've got to criticize Clutch a little bit for making that dive in the first place. It seemed very last resort to me. They were diving onto an Ezreal that you know is tricky to dive to begin with, that you know has armor in the Iceborne Gauntlet, so it's not like Lee can one-hit him. It just seemed like they were going for broke in a situation where the game wasn't quite at that point yet, and they got heavily punished.
Well, that's what I love about the Cloud9 composition, though, is everybody can get each other's backs almost instantaneously. The Shen ultimate, even the teleports, there's 3 of them. There's Sion ultimate, the 2 other ultimates on that team composition from the Galio and Nocturne, so that everybody can get in there. And if Clutch Gaming are not on the same page, if they aren't all there to make it happen, it's so hard to make an unpredictable fight happen and catch Cloud9 off guard. Because if they're off guard, they're immediately back on it with everybody in attendance.
Well, with 7,500 gold now the lead in this game, Cloud9 are comfortably in the lead. And Clutch has to find some sort of a way to defend against this, but Licorice is going to make sure he continues enchanting this mid lane wave with the Baron buff. He'll interrupt Vulcan attempting to back. Tier 2s still standing in both the top and bottom lane for Clutch Gaming. Cloud9 will look to knock those down with the remaining 35 seconds of the Baron buff here. But the dive is happening. No time for turrets when you've got enemy players to kill off. Zeyzal into the back, able to find the taunt onto 2. Piglet's the first casualty, and now there's no way to win the fight for Clutch Gaming. They've got to get themselves back if they can. They've managed to pop the Guardian Angel on that enemy Nocturne, but that means Sven is getting back up. He'll rejoin the team, and Cloud9 have found yet another win.
And that is just a flat-out straight dive. They say this is how you dive a turret straight into the back line. Doesn't matter. Piglet pops his ultimate, flashes, tries to get the hell away. They are on top of him, and they are able to pick him up no matter how much he squirms.
This is still a 5 versus 4 favoring Cloud9. However, some injured health bars are going to mean they need to retreat. Clutch looking to go in. Vulcan's able to find the flash with initiation. But Licorice, the meatball on the front lines, they have nothing to deal with this. Damonte goes in. He's able to find some CC and some damage onto a couple of different members. Licorice still going to be tanking up. Svenskeren barely kept alive. Huni gets the kill. The damage goes through. And Cloud9's able to find the counter-attack. Licorice, he's going to go into the undead form, but he's done his job. He's provided the opportunity for Nisqy to find the triple, and now Lira and Piglet stand alone. Nisqy is just an absolute artillery cannon on this Ezreal.
And they have no answer right now. They just didn't have the damage there. Is Lira going to take this? I don't know. He's up against there's so much CC. They're just like piling on each other like, I dare you to do it.
You remember the last time you tried to jump on Nisqy? It did not work so well.
Yeah, and there wasn't even the Shen or the Galio next to him to kind of taunt him and get him off of him. But this fight was one that Piglet, man, he's not there. He's not there at the start. This was the dive initially onto Piglet, right? Svenskeren, point, click, onto Piglet, flashes to extend the range, and then the taunt comes out from Zeyzal. A flash taunt, gets it on him, and then they're able to pick him up. He can't get away from that at all, and now Licorice is the one taking the turret, making sure Svenskeren gets out. And that was just a very clean pick up the Piglet. And then here, he's not alive. Where's the damage gonna come from? The Sion has stacked armor. The only person who can really deal any damage to him is going to be Damonte. But Damonte's sights are set on Svenskeren, who spell shields, doesn't have it broken off him, almost drops, does eventually because of Huni in the backside. But then Licorice, he's dealing with a bunch of people who do physical damage. And he's not able to be killed until the very last moment.
The Sion's shield is currently slightly under a 10-second cooldown and shields for 560 health. Ooh. So quite a bit of tankiness here for Licorice on the side of Cloud9, and what you talked about is coming true. The scaling has happened, the front line is there, and Clutch Gaming do not have the tools to punch through it. As you already said, the armor means the only guy that's going to hurt you is Damonte. Damonte's 0, 2, and 4. He's still only got one fully completed item at 27 minutes. Yes, he has both of the needlessly large rods for the Rabadon's death cap, but he's still a long way away from having that GG damage that he needs.
Yeah, and by the time he has that damage, the Sion will be even more scaled up. You can see Licorice now has a Spectre's Cowl to his name, and that 200 plus armor now backed up by 115 magic resistance, and all of that 1200 bonus HP from the Soul Furnace just makes that even better to have.
Let's take a look at what Cloud9's got, because we saw the Guardian Angel come out, be very useful for Svenskeren in the last fight, provided him the opportunity to stay alive long enough. Nisqy still hasn't died this game at all. Has the Oblivion Orb on top of the Ludens and the Proto Belt. Tons of damage coming out from this
Fully
guy.
stacked Seal, too.
And Sneaky is working on getting himself that second fully charged tier. Fight could break out here in the mid lane. There comes your Paranoia. Delivery system has been activated. Into the back line they go. Galio coming down on top of Svenskeren to make sure he finds his way into the back. But Piglet's able to find the kill onto Sven. He may be able to keep himself alive a little bit longer, but Clutch is still so far behind. The fight is still so hard. Sneaky is dominating. Still looking to chase down the remaining members of Clutch. They have actually lost the fight so far. Cloud9 has lost 2 members, only taking 1 down on the opposition.
Their initial kind of pull on the team fight there. They didn't kill Piglet immediately. He was able to get his stopwatch off, stay alive, and then the shield came out afterwards right away from Lira to make sure he doesn't drop. It actually saved Piglet real hard. Let's watch that one more time here. Because Svenskeren picks up the blue buff right before the ulti, clicks onto Piglet. Piglet is running back. They try to peel him off, waits for it. Then he's fleeing, he's CC'd right here before he gets picked up by Nisqy on the flash W. The Zhonya's comes out, uses the E, doesn't hit him, and then the shield from Lira comes through too. The mistiming there on the E, on the Justice Punch, was what made it so Piglet didn't drop.
But the peel coming out, Lira kicking one person away through 2 other people. Clutch Gaming, when you're down 10,000 gold, it is damn hard to even go even in a team fight, but to win it is a great feeling to have, and it shows that there are still signs of life for this squad, however difficult the game may be at this point.
And that might be one of those realizations that you have maybe too late in the game where you go, oh, crap, I should have been peeling instead of engaging. A lot of the times as primary engage on my teams, you go, okay, I want to catch their AD out. I want to catch this guy out, kick him into my team, and kind of sacrifice myself for it, because that's how it works in other compositions. But this one, Cloud9, they're going to come to you. The Nocturne is just going to run at you. He's going to ulti into you. The Shen is going to be delivered. And
3 people are always going to be delivered.
They're trying to get to your backline. So instead of trying to get to theirs, peel for your own, disengage their backline with your Lee Sin, and kind of create this wall with Huni. And I think they're learning that here. We'll see it one more time.
Piglet in danger, gets himself over the wall, trying to stay safe. Svenskeren looking to follow. Piglet taken very low, will be taken down. Zeyzal makes sure of it. Now he's going to be stunned up. Focus onto him. Clutch Gaming looking to find the fear. They'll grab it, but they won't land the CC down onto much of anyone. Still getting themselves away. Still a 4 versus 4. Svenskeren has the GA back up. Lira doesn't want to take the Q to be able to only pop the passive. It's 1 for 1. Clutch Gaming are adapting well to this. But Cloud9 are still so scary, Zirene.
Yeah, and Sneaky is running around now with the Gunblade. This is that kind of icing on the cake Ezreal item that you see sometimes after the double tier, after the Iceborne. He has the Sorcerer Shoes because the W and the R are both magic damage, and then the Hextech Gunblade on top of it for even more both. It is just disgusting how much damage he can do.
270 AD, 325 AP, a true hybrid monster on this Ezreal. It's going to take one hell of an effort to be able to bring him down, but as you already mentioned, and I have to highlight this again, the job of Clutch isn't kill Sneaky, and it can't be if they win. It has to be peel Piglet, because every single fight, it's Sven, Zeyzal, and Nisqy just dogpiling him.
Yeah, they have to be able to just get on that backside and make sure that Sneaky, he's the one who's going to be safe here. He's pumping out the damage, so he doesn't need those defensive items. He needs that offensive kind of oomph to him, and that's what he's been picking up.
And when you look across at Piglet now, he is at the point where he's at 3.5 items. He's got those big 3 crit things with the Zeal Evolution, the Infinity Edge, plus the Storm Razor, and so critically, QSS. Taunts from either Galio or the Shen, plus the fear from the Nocturne can be evaded now. Let's take another look at how Piglet got away from this.
Yeah, this one, we'll see here. I believe he flashes, yeah, he flashed before it connected onto him, and then they're able to chase him over the wall. So if the Nocturne ultimate were to hit him first and then he would flash, he would properly disengage and kind of get the rest of the summoner spells out. But he wasn't able to do that. They're able to chase him down, and now, like you said, he's got the QSS, so that fight might look a little different, but Piglet is still just, he is being bullied in this game, and that would have killed.
Forcing out the early ultimate. Oh my good lord! True Shot Barrage just destroys him as Huni's now going to be trying to take Sneaky down into the back line. He can't even 1v1 him. Sneaky's
too strong. Cloud9 will run down the rest of Clutch Gaming in the backline, forcing them away. Vulcan tries to retreat. Licorice goes after him. He's got the CC and he's got the damage. This could surely be the end of the game here as Cloud9 still has one minion. Licorice does not care about tanking up 2 Nexus turrets. Good boomerang blade there from Piglet to take down the cannon, bring the backdoor protection back up.
Lira
But the next minion wave is already here. Lira will be taken down. The taunt plus the damage, and Sneaky's damage just won this game. That true shot barrage destroying Damonte was enough, and now Piglet stands alone, but not for long. Sneaky goes forward, the Nexus goes down, and Cloud9 go up to a 4-2 record.
What a dominant game there from Sneaky at the end. 11-1 and 6,000 gold bounty to his name. That was just disgusting when that damage came out at the end.
The next one's got to be an Ezreal cosplay at this rate. The man is just popping off on this champion time and time again. What even is the damage on True Shot Barrage at that point in the game? Reading the tooltip right now, you are looking at just over 1,250 damage pre-mitigation on True Shot Barrage. And that's what killed Damonte instantly.
Yep, and he has Sorc shoes to boot too, so Damonte only running around with like 40 MR versus that. Not much HP either, so able to blow him up right quick. And I think there was a W still on him when he came out of Zonia's, so.
And one thing that I want to do is say Clutch Gaming seemed to be getting things together towards the end of that game. They learned how to properly respond to the composition. They were playing more for the peel, as you mentioned, onto Piglet, as opposed to trying to dive onto Sneaky before the Cloud9 comp was able to dive onto the Sivir, because you're never going to win that race. So although the game did look very one-sided and Cloud9 was in control seemingly the entirety, I do want to give respect to Clutch for adapting better than they otherwise could have. This is a team that shows the ability to really understand what's going on and be able to make those changes. But at the same time, I've got to applaud Cloud9. They drafted a mean-looking comp with some mean-looking synergy, and they played it right.
Yeah, and people are going to look at that damage from Sneaky and have a little bit of a recency bias for what just happened at the end of the game. But you got to remember, Licorice, the solo kill top lane, the roams down to the bottom side of the map. Mid-team fight Qs and ultimates were fantastic to get them the advantage so that Sneaky could pop off. But really, this was a team effort all around. And that's what's so scary about that Cloud9 composition is everybody can come together instantly. It's just Clutch Gaming, like you said, they figured it out a little bit too late in the game.
Yeah, sometimes lessons learned are great, but lessons learned too late, well, there's always next time. But for now, to give us more about that impressive Cloud9 victory, let's get a breakdown from the State Farm Analyst Desk.
Thank you, Captain Flowers. We saw Champ Select. Mark Z said there's no chance Cloud9 comes away with a victory in this one, but they proved him wrong. Yeah. They did it in what he thought was an unwinnable composition. Mark, what do you have to say for yourself?
Blatant lies, false news, all of it.
I don't know. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong.
I think we all heard the same thing. All I said was, like, mid to late game, if it's even, they don't have a ton of damage, and there's only one target in Sivir that they're going to want to ult realistically. That's all I said. I don't know how this turned into, like, C9's doomed, they can't win the game, their comp is bad.
You heard him. Just cut
That's
out
what he did.
I
didn't say any of those things. All I said was, like, it's a dive up with only one target they want.
That's how it sounded when he said it.
My response to it was, you know, what happens to Sivir when he gets ulted by a Shen, Nocturne, Galio?
He dies.
The Sivir dies.
That is what happens.
He almost.
And that is what happens.
That is exactly what happens.
Really? We didn't grab any of the replays, but some of those late game fights, when they were up 10K, the Sivir almost got out.
Don't believe it.
Yeah.
If it wasn't a 10K gold.
Let's get into the game as it played out. We're going to take a look at Lira's early jungle path because some interesting stuff happened for them to secure the first blood here in the top lane very early on.
Yeah, so it's super common to start red and then go into Krugs because it has so much gold and experience and you want it to respawn faster. The very normal one is to then go through Tribe Rush up to the Scuttle Crab. However, as you can see here, Lira, after he finishes the Krugs, he's in really good communication with his bottom lane. And his bottom lane tells him, hey, the Shen is moving up. They're trying to get the level 2 on us. So they're gonna go for the level 2. As soon as Shen gets it, Lira's coming down for the lane gank rather than going up for the normal path there. Vulcan has an amazing flash in on the Alistar, putting his life in danger. to bait them in for the kill, sets it up perfectly, and gets them rolling with a first blood.
And I think it's a perfect example of how mixing up your jungle pass can really get you big rewards. Cloud9 even had, there was a ward in the river. You know, they were trying to watch for that Scuttle Crab gank that normally would come through if you wanted to go for that. So, you know, just mixing it up really paid big dividends.
Yeah, and we've talked a lot about where different teams should be putting their focus and, you know, resources when it comes to getting ahead. And Clutch is one of the teams that we've thrown criticism towards in that they haven't seemed to made a decision yet this far into the split about who they want to kind of use as their main carry and throw all their weight behind.
And I know Piglet in the past has been very, very happy with Lira and really likes how he jungles. And my favorite part about this example was the communication between them, you know, and kind of getting the enemy bot lane to play into their hands, giving them the level 2 first, baiting them in for it, and then using that appropriately.
The problem was, like, they weren't able to convert that nice initial play into anything more because that's when the C9 engage comp starts coming online at 6, and they obviously have a very... Dive comp, engage comp. They're very similar terms. I don't know why.
I mean, but to your point, right? We've got the Nocturne, we've got the Shen, we've got the Galio. So globals on, or semi-globals on semi-globals on semi-globals, and it makes it very easy to execute. Returning to this idea that for a lot of teams early on in the year, having the one-track mind is sometimes the way to go.
Yeah, I think it's very clear what they were trying to do. Both teams knew what the goal was going to be. It's diving onto the Sivir. This time, they actually don't even get the Galio on top of him, but Shen plus Nocturne is enough to take down the Sivir. And this was kind of a one-track mind here for Cloud9, but we were never quite able to see Clutch able to stop that, and partly I think that is just simply because Cloud9 got individual leads across the map.
They got individual leads. There's the solo kill in the top lane, which you never want to see. Urgot into Sion. That's absolutely not good. And then the fact that, like, yeah, they split their focus. Once that Nocturne ult came down, half jumped into mid lane to engage, and the other half started cutting back towards red buff, and you split your team fight while the other team is very good about coordinating because, like we said, it's an all-dive comp, Kobe.
That's exactly what it is, Mark. Thank you for pointing that out.
What happens to a Sivir in an all-dive?
Are you still mad that I didn't, like, high-five you at the top of the day? Is that where this is coming from?
Here's where I want to go with this. With the knowledge of the changes being made to the game, you know, what we're moving towards when it comes to ADC changes and a little bit more power being funneled back into certain marksmen. You know, how compositions like this might interact and how teams might start adjust the building of their compositions to deal with strong AD carries.
So, I mean, I think that this is a good composition from Cloud9 to deal with a crit marksman. I would say the next evolution then is if you're building around a one threat or one really important person, such as a crit marksman, then you can maybe start bringing in enchanter supports. Something that deals so well with engage, such as a Janna, maybe even a Lulu. Champions to protect this guy who is that obvious target, and then you can really start to shut it down.
Right, not just one enchanter. Let's go two. We got Lulu in the bot lane and
Zillion
Karma in the top lane, Zillion in the mid lane.
Oh, baby,
Let's go, let's go.
Top.
We're going right back for supports and an ADC. As we go to break, make sure to cast your vote in chat for what you want Gate to draw in Lolestrations on LCS Cooldown. Spam the chat. We'll see you after the break.